A very good evening to everyone present today. We welcome you all to the webinar number 17 on the ICFAI's WiseViews interactive webinar series, which is held every Friday. Every Friday, we have a leader with distinguished accomplishments and contribution to industry and society. Today, we are extremely happy to have Ms. Suparna Mitra, the CEO of Watches and Wearables Division of Titan Company Limited. Madam, most welcome to you on behalf of ICFAI Group and everyone here.
Thank you so much. It's a pleasure. It's very exciting. I think I'm also excited about the theme and excited to talk to all of you.
Amazing. As much as myself and all the members who have joined today are excited to learn from a leader like you, I would like to take a moment and introduce you to the audience, and then we can start with your talk. Just give me a moment, please. Yes. This series is called WiseViews Interactive Webinar Series, as you all know. And today we have the distinguished guest speaking about nurturing product innovation in the new normal. This is an exciting topic, and we are very happy and eagerly waiting to hear from Ms. Suparna. The agenda is roughly about half an hour of talk by the guest, that is Ms. Suparna, and the next 30 minutes will be question and answers moderated by Prof. Prasad and myself. Ladies and gentlemen, I take pride and I'm very happy to introduce Ms. Suparna. She is an electrical engineer from Jadavpur University and subsequently went on to study MBA from IIM Calcutta. She started her career as management trainee in HLL and subsequently she joined in Titan, worked in various roles. She also worked at Talisman Corporation as Director of Product Marketing. She was business head for Lee in Arvind Brands Limited as well. As the global marketing head at Titan, she was responsible for all the marketing in India and in international markets. As regional business head South for Titan Company, she headed all businesses of Titan Company, including watches, jewelry, eyewear for the South region. I would like to mention here that the Titan Company Limited has got 4 big divisions. One is the watches and wearables, which is headed by Ms. Suparna. The second one is jewelry, and the third one is eyewear, and the fourth one is new businesses, which comprises of perfumes like skin. She also served as Chief Sales and Marketing Officer for the Watches and Wearables Division before. She currently serves on the Board of Governors for IIM Kozhikode and has previously served on the Board of Tata Power Solar. With this brief introduction, please join me in welcoming Ms. Suparna and let her begin the talk. Over to you, Ms. Suparna, and thank you.
Thank you so much for that introduction. So I have a talk. I know there is the new normal. I will talk about the new normal, but I also want to talk about product innovation. Titan Company is famous for it. Titan, the watches division, has had a long history of innovation in product, and I think it's important that I spend a little time on how innovation comes together. So when a company like Titan, which has been, the market leader, we've had been the #1 company in watches category for the last 34 years, almost 30 years, 3 decades. And this despite the fact that every single international brand is here at this time and has been here for maybe 15, 20 years. How is it that we maintain more than 50% market share in value terms? I think product innovation has a very large role to play in that leadership position. And product innovation, you normally think in an organization is something that design as a department does, or maybe some marketing guys do. But I would like to venture out this thought that in the watches and wearables division, product innovation is actually something that is embedded in the division. And there are many sources in which this, through which product innovation comes. Like most stable and mature companies, there is always process. Processes help you to have sustained product innovation instead of just being a flash in the pan, which comes because of some, maverick or genius coming in. But apart from that, there are some other sources of continued and sustained product innovation. And I will come to how we have also used some of these processes and culture to adapt to the new normal and come out with innovative products. So I will, briefly take you through 5 or 6 ways in which product innovation gets manifested. And some of them are process-led, some of them are culture-led, some of them are, I would say, opportunity-led. Something just happens and then you pick it up and you run with it. So the first point is about nurturing product innovation through process. And this is, it looks like it's a very staid or a very measured kind of thing, but I can vouch for the fact that because we have a framework and a process, we are forcing ourselves and our people to constantly think of this. So how does this work? We have an overall innovation framework for product innovation. We start with the changing consumer, and that's very important, and I will talk about it in subsequent slides. And we build a product innovation pipeline. Actually, instead of a pipe, which sounds like it's cylindrical, this is more like a funnel. So at the top, there are lots of ideas. And then, as you go through, different builds, how much of it can actually be realistic? Is it in the right cost? Is it with the right quality? Then, the pipeline kind of becomes narrower. But what finally comes out of it is something that is both innovative as well as very practical. So in watches, we actually look at these 8 key focus areas of product innovation. And if you really think about it, these are what matters to the consumer, what consumers will be willing to pay a premium for. If there are 2 products exactly at the same price, is the consumer going to pay a premium for this, is what this is. So new materials, and I will talk later about material-led innovation on ceramic that really did well for us. New functions, again, I'll later talk about it. New constructions, the way the watch is kind of put together. So we've had watches in the form of like a carabiner, something that you hang around the neck. So the form factor of the watch itself. New display, I think display is something how do you actually show time in a watch? There's a standard way which has been there for a long time, but there are many interesting ways in which you can actually display the time. New segments, that is, for example, if you're looking at elderly people who have visibility issues. So it's a new segment. The normal watch, the font size may not be good enough for them. So you actually think on behalf of that customer segment, say, what can I do to make things better? New packaging. Packaging is something that usually a lot of people focus so much on the product and then they, do the packaging in a rush. But packaging itself is a very powerful brand accompaniment and really works for us. Customization. And here there are lots of different ideas, and it is we've attempted many things in terms of customization. Some have worked. Some, while it sounds like customization is a great idea, we don't actually see customers willing to pay a premium. So like I said, the ultimate test is, will a customer pay a premium? And sustainability, which is a very, very big thing and a lot of work going on. And one of our brands, Fast Track, will actually launch something on sustainability later this year, which is quite big. And the way this works is that there are innovation champions in each function. It's not just one department or just the design function, like I said. And the next slide will actually make this clearer to you. So it's stakeholder centered, and there are all these. There's product innovation right in the center, brand teams, which are really the marketing teams, the design center. So designers and what they bring to the table. They also look at a lot of trends and look at a lot of other data. They look at international, etc. ISCM is actually a short form for integrated supply chain. And basically that's the manufacturing backbone. So manufacturing. Vendors is a very interesting source of product innovation. So we have a lot of vendors both in India and abroad, and often they tell us, XYZ trend is really coming up, and Could be something like a strap, like mesh straps are in, or bigger dials are in, or something is out. And they also sometimes come up with their own innovations because they know what we like, and they come up with their own innovations and pitch it to us saying, would you like to consider this? Customers are also a very big source of innovation. I myself meet with customers, and I've actually once interacted with a customer in a Pune store about 3 years back. This was Diwali time. It was very heavy rush, and this gentleman had come to change a strap or something, and then somebody introduced me to him, and I realized he has some 25 Titan watches and altogether 50 watches, including every single, Swiss brand or every brand. And we got talking, and he told me, I want this watch, this kind of watch. And I said, okay, let me think about it. And we actually made a customized watch for him, which he bought for a very large sum. But the point is that customers always point out what is working, what is not, what do they want, both in terms of functionality, in terms of design. Also, SME, academia, we have a lot of tie-ups. We do a lot of work. We have an innovation hub situated inside IIT Madras. And those people are constantly in touch with academia. So there is a lot of work. So there's work, for example, in plating, and many different things which can be a big game changer. So this is really the process part of it. The next point I'd like to say is innovation arising out of internal aspiration. Now, you can't put a number to this. It's a dream. It's a vision. It's nobody asked. No, it wasn't part of anybody's KRA. It's just that somebody said, I want to do this. This seems like a great idea. And the biggest example of that is a pretty famous example, which is Titan Edge. Titan Edge was, actually, it was conceptualized by a group of people, engineers in the factory, a gentleman called B.G. Dwarkanath and a whole lot of his teammates. In 98 or 99, they came up with this idea and went to our then MD, Mr. Xerxes Desai, saying, let's do the slimmest watch in the world. So it is a moonshot kind of idea, not easy. I mean, we have some of the best horologists in the world in Titan. Still, it took us almost 4 years, 3.5, 4 years to launch it in 2002. And this is the timeline of innovation. The other thing that this chart actually shows is that innovation is not stagnant. Like you've done something and then you sit back and you say, I cracked this. It's something that you're constantly working on. So in 2010, we actually thought of, since titanium is one of the lightest materials in the world, if you combine the Titan Edge, which is such a slim watch, with one of the lightest materials, you'll actually come up with one of the lightest watches in the world, right? And that's what we did in 2010. In 2013, we did something called Edge Skeletal, and I'll show you the pictures. In 2015, we brought in this along with the date. So the first Titan Edge didn't have the date function. And then later came up with the ceramic edge, which was a blockbuster hit, continues to be a big, big money spinner for us, which was in 2018 and 17, and then Edge Zen and so on. Let me now show you the pictures. I think pictures speak louder than words. So this is the year 2002. Titan R&D develops the slimmest quartz movement in the world. There are people who say they're slimmer. It is one of the slimmest, right? At a thickness of 1.15 mm. It seems simple, but there is tremendous engineering and work that has gone into it. This was one of the edge designs, the titanium edge, which actually won a Red Dot Design Award, which is, Red Dot is, the simplest way to explain it is like the Oscar of designs, of product design, across categories, not just watches, it could be anything. This was 2015, which is with the date function at 4.6 mm. This is the slimmest ceramic watch. I'll pass this. This was an ad, but I'll just go past because I don't think I have time. 2019 is Edge Zen. Again, very brilliant design because it is a seamless kind of look where the entire case of the watch is out of a single sapphire crystal. And this is there is a song, the Titan Edge Mechanical, which was launched earlier this year in February, which is the slimmest mechanical watch from Titan at sub 6 mm. So there's a 5.8 mm. This is a mechanical movement. And for those of you who know, Titan actually made the choice of quartz over mechanical, and we've come back full circle, and we have our own mechanical movements and do a lot of work. And to get that down to that kind of thickness is amazing. And so now we have this sells at 1.95 lakhs. And it's a limited edition. We made 100 each in 2 different designs. This is one of the designs is the one that you can see here. And we were amazed at how many people bought this. You know, it seems like Titan watch at 2 lakhs. Yeah, but people see the kind of innovation that goes in and they're like, yeah, absolutely. I can see why this is. There are people who come back and said any other brand would have priced it at probably double the price. Because you're Titan and you're an inclusive brand, you've kept it at this kind of price. I'm now moving on from this moonshot dreaming to trend, and we are in the fashion business. Finally, watches are accessories that they help in projecting personality and lifestyle. How does one incorporate trends into product design? So we also have one eye out, watching out for what are the big trends in the world. And it's not just about watches trends. It could be in anything. And the next 2 examples will show our youth brand Fast Track and how it incorporated apparel of fashion, trends into watches. And I can tell you that they really worked with young women. So this one is something called ruffles. Now, if you see the picture on the left, there is this woman with a lot of pleats. So pleats was something that was very, very, very trending about a year back. And we just took that idea and converted it into a watch design. So you see the dial, it's multi-layered, it has the pleats, it has very elegant, numerals, as well as wonderful plating color, which is very different. And so this kind of work actually gives us a lot of traction, especially with the young people who are constantly following what the new trend is. This is another one, it's animal print. Again, animal prints keep coming in and out, going in and out of fashion in apparel. It also lends itself quite well to things like shoes and bags and lots of other things. So we said, why not? And we did this. So you can see one from animal print collection. So this one is like a zebra print, and it's done really well for us. The third source of product innovation is consumer. The consumer herself tells us either directly or indirectly, and it is for us to listen what she needs and what she wants. And I will give you an example. It's an example close to my heart. So one of our sub-brands is Titan Raga. And this is a women's only brand. And it's one of those beautiful brands that is not about, a lot of international watch brands just take the men's watch and they de-size it, make it smaller, make it pink, the typical shrink and pink, and then say this is a woman's watch. So we have done a lot of work from around 2006 when we relaunched Titan Raga into saying, what is the insight in the woman's head about herself? Because this sub-brand, this brand is about expression of her feminine self. And we found that over time, that has also changed. There was a time when it was very traditional femininity, very much in the conformist idea of what a woman should be. Today, we realize that there is so much awareness and so much backlash of a societally imposed idea of beauty and perfection. And there is so much, like I said, backlash against things like body shaming or about color, color of complexion. And this collection was about, it's called Raga I Am, which is really celebrating the unique facets, the how today's Indian woman wants to be appreciated. And this is a unique contemporary collection that celebrates the perfection of imperfection, that you don't have. The hashtag which was really trending at that point was flaunt your flaws. Flaunt your flaws. You don't have to cover it up. You don't have to color your hair. You don't have to, do stuff which takes out the wrinkles. Be yourself. Your beauty is in your power. And it came with a very evocative TV commercial. And of course, I will now get into the product, because that we're talking about product innovation. You see these four. There's nothing symmetrical, nothing picture perfect. It actually takes from nature. So asymmetric forms. In the first watch, actually, we collaborated a lot with Swarovski for the crystals. And they custom made these crystals because nobody has these odd shaped crystals. Every brand wants the perfect, beautiful, symmetrical crystal. And here we were like, make it a symmetric. Because we wanted to celebrate the imperfection of beauty. So the second one, for example, is like a mushroom. It has unique finishes. There are things that are inspired by wood. So all of them are, the last one is inspired by stalactites. If you look at nature, it is never perfect, but it is most beautiful. And we felt that the Indian woman and her expression of beauty through raga should be similar. I'll now spend a little time to the new age consumer, right? And this is really the new normal part of it. So this product actually came out in September 2020, and there was a video and it went viral and everyone was like, wow, in 4 months you came up with this. Actually, it wasn't 4 months. We've been working on it for 2 years. It just happened that something that we were anyway seeing the trend towards contactless payments then accelerated like crazy after COVID. So after the first wave of COVID. So this was a collaboration with SBI, and it was India's first payment watch called Titan Pay. It basically, there is a chip in the strap that allows you to use it exactly like a debit card. And just like debit cards, you don't need to put in a PIN. You can just do a tap payment in any POS machine. This works in the same way. And this is the beauty of it. It did really well. And about a month back, maybe 2 weeks back, we had to stop sale of this from advice on SBI because of some RBI changes. So sometimes you have a good idea, it's working well, but something else comes in. I mean, this watch was something that got us, I think a lot of people really connected with this, because post-COVID, contactless payment became a big thing. And this was just not just contactless, it was also hands-free. Like you can carry your mobile, you have contactless payment in mobiles. Of course, there are debit cards and credit cards, but this one was, you don't even need to carry anything. You can just go. This is our brand called Fast Track Reflex. And there are, Reflex was launched in 2018. The first Reflex, which was simply called Reflex, followed by Reflex 2. This is 3.0. We've also had some other versions like Reflex Beat, which came with HRM, the heart rate monitor, and Reflex Wave, which came with gesture technology enabled smart band. So smartwatches is, of course, something that is really doing well. It's just exploded in the last 18 to 24 months. And this particular one is Reflex 3. I'm currently wearing one of them, the third one, the pink one. And it has, all the standard features. Interestingly, it is the first dual tone design. So, there is the black and the teal, or the pink and the green, etc. So there's a lot of the fashion tech, the combination of fashion and technology, the intersection point is where Fast Track is currently sitting. And it has all the features, the 10+ sport modes, the multiple watch faces, and an all-new Fast Track Reflex World app. So one of the things that is important to state here is that, our understanding of innovation, when you talk about product innovation in a watch, it begins and ends with the watch. But in the case of smartwatches and smart bands, there is the whole app ecosystem, and that is continuous. It doesn't stop, right? Because every day you're interacting with the app, there has to be something new, something fresh, some engagement, some gamification. It's a lot of work. In fact, I often say this, that when a customer buys a watch, at the point of buying the watch, it's over unless, after 2 years, she comes back for a battery change. Whereas the day the customer buys a smartwatch or a smart band is the day the real relationship begins, because she's going to go back home, download the app, sync the watch, then start interacting. And then, there is so much data, so much analytics, rewards. It's a different thing. It's a continuous journey of product innovation. This is the latest that we have just launched, called Fast Track Reflex Tunes, which are hearables. So it is outside the watches. I mean, it is a part of wearable. Definitely, it is a wearable. These are Bluetooth-enabled speakers, audio devices, audio accessories. And there are these 3 form factors that you can see here: the over-the-head, the neckband, as well as the truly wireless. We've already got the one on the truly wireless is we're just in the process of launching, doing very well. I think like I said, the combination of fashion and technology works very well. Again, this is a category that has just simply exploded out of the blue because of the pandemic and the entire work from home, entertain at home, whether it's shopping, whether it is watching Netflix or any other OTT or whatever it is, everything is online, right? And with so many people in the house, everybody needs their own hearable. So this is the big new launch from Fast Track. And next point is sometimes, innovation also comes from collaborations. And this is the point where I was saying that, you're just talking to someone and then, some proposal comes, or just there is a meeting of minds and something really interesting or innovative comes out of it. And I have 2 examples. One is more designer-led and the other is a different brand. So the first example is a very successful collaboration we did with Masaba Gupta, who's an apparel designer. This started in 2017 and we've had 2 very successful collections, and the third one is coming out this Diwali. So Raga is, appealing to the modern, progressive, sensual, feminine woman. However, Masaba, who has really carved a very special place in the consumer, the young woman's consumer mind space, stands for edge, stands for quirk, stands for ethno-contemporary. She has a very fierce and very authentic style. And we felt that, and she has great consumer connect and social clout. I mean, her social media following is just, it's fabulous. So we kind of did this Raga by Titan X Masaba and came up with completely new watches that, frankly, our own watch designers wouldn't have thought of, because they think that this is the way the watch should look like. So I remember the first time I met, second time I think I met her, she came with a bunch of designs, and I'm looking at this and saying, we will not be able to make it. We don't know how to make these watches, but we were actually able to make the watches. So it's very interesting that we were able to make these watches. And this is look at the example. She was actually inspired by street jewelry. And this particular watch, it's flexible. It winds around the wrist like a rope. And this is the kind of thing that, our new product development and other people spend a lot of time just getting it right. How do you get this, that it is flexible and yet when you wear it, it grips beautifully. So this is Raga Masaba. I'll now move on to a brand new collaboration. In fact, it's launching on August 15th on Sunday. This is Fast Track collaborating with Coke, classic. It's an iconic international brand and also very youthful. And look at the wonderful watches, and it's just so interesting. And the one on the left, which has, you can see it's like the Coke can, the top of the Coke can, where you press and it opens. And very, very beautiful watches, 2 iconic youth brands coming together as a collectible, also as an accessory. So this is where you are looking at collaborations fostering product innovation. And I also now finally come to this point, because I started with the 1.95 lakh edge mechanical, because a lot of people are like, you can only do all this at the top of the pyramid, and product innovation is impossible to do at economy price bands. And I really, took this particular example out to show that innovation is innovation. It is harder, definitely it's harder at economy price points, but it is possible. So we have a economy brand called Sonata, and this is, very high-end watches. They expose their mechanical movements, and it's called the skeletal look. And these are, the slide says 12,000, but usually, this kind of thing happens much higher at much higher price points. What Sonata did was they beautified and then exposed the quartz movement, and it's still a skeletal look, and it comes at 2,000 rupees. So it's something that gives you a very rich and a very high-end look. And it also allows for customization of colors because of the opening, and you can, like, one of them is the rose gold color, another one. So you can actually do plating, you can do different colors, you can do different things on the dial, and it comes out as a very, very interesting product innovation. Yeah, I think that's it from my side. And I just to recap, I talked about innovation as a process. I also talked about innovation, which is embedded in the culture, and therefore it comes from many different sources. It can come from other brands through collaborations. It can come from the consumer and the consumer insight itself. It can come from trends and things like that. It can, the new age, the post post this whole thing is also something that has come in. And also now the last point was that you can do it at much lower price points also. So that's really what I have to say, and I'm stopping my share.
Wow, that's a great presentation. Thank you very much, Ms. Suparna. I think from this side of the screen, we have really enjoyed looking at various sources of innovation that you have mentioned. Very interestingly, the innovation champions that you have as a structure across various departments, and therefore it's a culture. I don't know which one is first and which one is next. Structure and culture both leading to or generating innovative products. And then the interesting thing was the ruffles design as a trend that you incorporated. And then even I remember the break the bias kind of campaign for Titan Raga, which you did alongside the Flaunt Your Flaw. I think one was done before and Flaunt Your Flaw was a little later. I think they have created a lot of buzz, and that there's a cue there how we celebrate the imperfections of human beauty and bring that into the design of watches. Very nice. And new products like your payment watches, smart watches, fashion tech, and amazing collaborations that you have done, including the Coke product that you have shown with Fast Track. All in all, it's a very, very interesting and engrossing discussion that we have had just now. Now, I will bring in Professor R. Prasad, who is the Director for Academic Wing at ICFAI Group. Professor R. Prasad is an alumnus of IIT Bombay. When he studied, it was Bombay. Now it is Mumbai, and then IIM Calcutta. He was an entrepreneur before joining ICFAI Group, and all in all, he has about 3 decades of experience, both in industry as well as academics. And he has designed and architected the latest program that we have launched. It is called Online MBA Program, and he is the professor and mentor for that online MBA program. Professor Prasad, welcome to you, and please initiate the Q&A session. Over to you, Professor Prasad. Thank you.
Thank you, Professor Rao. Indeed, extremely glad to be speaking. Not glad. I mean, this is completely a very different feeling because we have done 16 webinars before this, and so Suparna, it's a very, very what I would call a very different moment in our webinar series. We've been speaking to very different leaders, and this is not just as a person, but also as a topic. This is pretty close because we are amongst the very innovative institutions in the country, and a lot of happened over the last 30 plus years that we have been in existence, and every time it has been because of innovation. That is one point. And the second is that I think in today's world, education does need far more innovation than ever before. And so I think the consumer world is something that where we can keep looking for ideas and see what is it that we can do and distill into what we bring. So both from the alma mater, as well as the product, as well as a person. I think I'm looking forward to what is being discussed, presented, and I think you've given quite a bit in what you have already presented. We have had close to 200 registrations, and it's also Facebook Live. And about half of them have asked questions. So at the time of registration itself, we have taken the question, and we have tried to aggregate it so that we are able to bring in a structure into the entire interaction. So I'll start there with your permission.
Yeah, sure. Really looking forward.
Yeah, sure. So I think the first is, the first question is about you. You've come a very long way in your journey. And I think this is an inspiration for many women and men, as well as, many of the MBA graduates, especially from premium institutions. Quite obviously, you would have had to face a lot of challenges to reach where you are in the world that you are in. So this question has come from more than one person in the audience, and this is what has been your inspiration, and what is your experience? In your experience, has been the most? What are the most important lessons and skills in this journey?
All these questions are out of syllabus. I was thinking you will ask me questions on product innovation. Okay, out of syllabus. Let me answer in as simple a way as possible. I think inspiration is everywhere. I am very blessed. There's a lot of supporters and a lot of mentors, a lot of people who helped me in my career, a lot of opportunities that have come up. I would also say that to some extent, some of those twists and turns in one's career, I took the way it came. I didn't over calculate. I was never thinking like that. I think I just went with whatever felt right. I worked hard, but hard work is something that I think a lot of people do. I think I was also in the right company. I think that matters a lot. It kind of was a very good fit for me as a person. So yeah, in terms of inspiration, not one person. In fact, I wouldn't even say corporate leaders. Yeah, there are a lot of corporate leaders who are very inspiring. But for me, I think it is also a lot of consumers. I interact closely with a lot of consumers, and I find it very inspiring. Like that little example I gave of that person who I met in the store in Pune, that person, and I'll just kind of explain it a little more because it'll make it clear to you what I mean when I say that consumers can also be inspired. So this person, he has a factory, several factories, he's an industrialist, and he was making OEM products for some big multinational. So he's saying, when I go and meet the company that I make things for, or I go to their international offices, I want to wear something made in India, designed in India. And I don't want to wear, he named a bunch of Swiss brands, because I have them, but when I go from here, this is what because I stand for cutting edge manufacturing in his field. And I felt it was very inspiring because he said that, I meet with, Germans and Europeans and Americans, and they are all wearing brands from their country. And I feel that I should represent my country. And I feel that is the kind of, I think it's a very simple thing to say, we must do the best we can do and do it well. And I think, I don't know, it's not a very good answer, but then this wasn't a question I was preparing for.
Thanks a lot. I think, you've hit the right button, because I am also able to connect to it. We have working executives who are doing the online MBA program, which we recently launched. And unlike, the other ones, we do have a selection process. And in the selection process, the objective is not to select, but to profile. And very often I think the kind of story they narrate as to what they've done and where they want to go is the source of inspiration for us. And in turn, unlike the standard campus cohort where the age group is, specified, if you're able to help that person in the journey, which is what partly our product is about, not partly, wholly what our product is about beyond the degree, I think that is what is important. So I'm very strongly connecting to what you're saying. Yes, Though not exactly consumers, these learners are very important to us. Thanks a lot. Thanks a lot. I move to the next question. You have worked in more than, and now we are coming to the syllabus. You have worked in more than one organization, and of course you have followed several more. Now, if you come to the cultural aspect that you are referring to, how does the culture of innovation differ? And what do you read as the critical factors which drive this?
I think, there are many companies that I admire for the innovation and the kind of, so for example, and I'll talk about the most innovative company, which is Apple, right? They're sitting right there. And the kind of money they spend on R&D, the kind of, I'm told, like hundreds and thousands of engineers are working on the next iPhone or any of the next products. On the Apple Watch itself, I'm told by somebody, I don't know how far it is true, that 800 engineers are working on the next one. And they are very seriously into the ECG and the medical part of it. And, they already have FDA approval. So I feel that, innovation, it is that combination of process and culture. If it is only process, it will not fly. If it is only culture, it will be very sporadic, very person-driven, and not sustainable, because, the inputs will keep going up and down. So I feel that that combination of culture and process is what really helps. In product companies, there is, of course, like I said, there's product design. Then, in tech companies, there's tech design. And I think one of the things I feel very strongly about, and it's true of Titan, it's true of many Indian companies, is that that kind of great investment in research and development, which actually also is a very big source of innovation, is something that I think we should all up a lot. I mean, I've been in, as learning programs, gone to the labs of some of the big giant multinationals, and they are saying this group is only working on innovations which will come to the market after 5 years. So there are teams that are working from 0 to 18 months, teams that are working from 18 months to 5 years, teams that are working 5 years hence. And that kind of, ability to see long-term, ability to invest, conviction to invest, all of that is very, very, very important. So I think it depends on the category, it depends on the field, but you need, I think maybe I'll add the three, the intersection of process, culture, and investment. Because finally, you have to put your money where your mouth.
Anything you'd like to add on the values, particularly when you select people whom you would like them to?
Values in terms of integrity, in terms of all of that, is something that is anyway, something very dear to us, something very fundamental to the Tata Group. We are also a Tata Group company. Values, it's a very big subject by itself. But if I bring in values with respect to innovation, I think it is also about, what I would, in academics, there's something called academic honesty, right? So something like that, which is your professional honesty, your professional integrity. It's very easy to be quote unquote inspired. A lot of people say, oh, this looks very similar because I was inspired. Having said that, it's also hard. And I mean, we in our category, the real estate, the space is only this much. In that much, how many differentiating factors can you put in is also a challenge.
Thank you. So professional integrity is something that, is part of what you're looking at from the value side when it's combined with innovation. I think now I'll put in the process question. And so the question is, how is this done at Titan? If you can take, a product and take us through the steps, approaches, methods that you use as part of the process. Now that the culture part is also there with us. Can you just help us illustrate to us how that happens at Titan with a particular product that you've done? So
I took you through Edge, right? But Edge was a moonshot kind of project. It was coming out of internal impulse to be the best in the world. But very often the process is what I showed in the first slide. There is a innovation council and they meet every month. Of course, there are apex committee meetings which happen every quarter. And they say, these are all the different things that are happening in the world around us. And these are some of the ideas. Or like I said, it could have come from the vendor, it could have come from a customer, it could have come from another category. We've often had a lot of discussions like, and I'll just give a random example. We have something called a mineral glass or a sapphire glass on the watch. And, now, not now so much, but maybe 2 years back when I was looking at it, even now, mobile phones, the tech spec is Gorilla Glass. So we're like, what is Gorilla Glass? Does that make sense in a watch? So sometimes, or we interact with, say, car design companies and their design teams, and what are they looking at? What are not just form, but also function? What are the next things? What are the next big waves? Sustainability, for example, is a very big wave. And there again, sustainable materials, it's not one category. It could come from anywhere. So that's the process. A whole bunch of ideas get put on the table. Some of them are doable. Some of them are, worth experimenting, but eventually it doesn't make the cut either in terms of cost or quality or whatever, or scalability, that you can make only 800 pieces. After that, you can't make any more. So then you kind of work around it and you filter it out. And then some you put into this year's product calendar. We have a 12 to 15 month calendar. So right now in August, we are actually designing next year's Diwali products because, it has to be out by in about August of next year for it to be ready for sale. So I think with that kind of timeline, we do it. And so then we meet, we look at it. There's much heated discussion, and then we pick up the ones that seem to be making the cut.
Thanks. I think that's also bringing in a framework. You did mention some of them earlier. So you've got the sources, and then you've got the structure, then you've got the discussion, you filter it out, and you've got a timeline. And then in that way, it is quite, I think that is fairly relatable to what all of us do. Thanks for that. The next question is about, we're connecting it now to marketing, and that, innovation is meant to solve a lot of problems. But can you share some experiences of where innovation worked and where it did not work?
Yeah, I will. The ones that worked, I already put in my case in the various little caselets. I will give you an example of something that maybe some of you may remember also, but it didn't work. And I'll also tell you how we figured why it didn't work. So we had a product called Sonata Act, ACT, which was launched in 2018, December. Simple watch, very nicely priced economy brand. And it had a safety alert button at the 8 o'clock position. And it worked with very simple technology that you had to download the app. You fill in the names and numbers, actually more mobile numbers, 10 up to a maximum of 10 mobile numbers. And, with the safety situation regarding women's safety in this country, we have so many women who are doing so much work and they have to. So, we were thinking of cohorts like nurses or police women or teachers, and they are out and they have to, factory workers. So there will be situations where they may be feeling unsafe. They're either traveling to work or coming back from work or whatever. And this is a simple solution. You press that 8 o'clock button and an emergency SMS will reach all of the designated numbers. And you have to, of course, have to have a smartphone, otherwise you can't pair it. But if the receiver also has a smartphone, they also get the GPS location of where you are. So they can immediately go and, okay, I'll just ask the two of you that I can see. What do you think of this idea? Super duper innovative idea?
Yeah, it's an idea, but such a facility is available on the smartphone already.
Yes, but the problem on why it didn't work has got nothing to do with the fact that there are substitutes. So we did it, and I remember people were so excited. One of our board members said, every Indian woman will buy this. I said, yeah. And we sold quite a number, many thousands. But after that, we realized two things, that it was being bought more as a gift. 70% of it was being bought by men for women. And the second is that the app downloads were not matching. So there was clearly a resistance. Then we actually got in some consumer research specialists who were experts in sociology and psychology. And they kind of unpacked this, and they said, they actually did these depth interviews with women who had been either gifted or bought, but mostly gifted, and said, what happened? And they came up with this insight that for many of these women, whether they're working outside the home or studying, they have faced a lot of resistance about it at home. And they have literally fought with their family members and said, no, I want to study or I want to work. Now, in a situation where they need help, they don't want the message to be relayed back to the family, because what will happen is the next day, the family members will say, no need to go. You stop your studies, you stop your work, you stay at home. So who are the people that she would put? Father, brother, husband, uncle. Uncle will first come and say, I told you, don't send her outside. And we were shocked. We had no idea. See, when we think of women's empowerment, you should also think of the sociological backdrop under which this is happening. So it was a very big penny drop moment for us that we were not solving the problem at all. And the most interesting point was one of those women said, I have my own ways. So she carries a little knife-like thing. Some people talked about safety pins. Some people talked about pepper spray, saying, I will deal with it. I don't want my family to come in. And I was later reflecting on it and said, I was telling my team that we gave a Draupadi solution to a potential Durga. So she rejected the solution.
Wonderful. I think, this relates very well. Very often what we think is the solution. And I think you've illustrated in the kind of values and the kind of brands that you're launching for women, about the nature of the women that you've mentioned some adjectives there. And I think
Professor
it all
Prasad.
connects up. Yeah, sure.
Professor Prasad, sir,
Yeah.
would like to know the price of that watch.
It's no longer in production or sale.
I know, that time.
The price was 3,000 rupees.
Okay. One of our alumnus also launched a similar watch in 2018. I don't remember the month, probably March, for the women's safety. Thank you.
Thanks.
So two things here. I think, even though the innovation did not work, what we are also saying is that you want a successful innovation initially, you also have to look carefully at why your existing innovations did not work. And that's also part of the process. I think that's also a good takeaway. So I think this cluster is over, and I'll hand it to Professor Rao to take it ahead. Next cluster.
Thank you. A very compelling story that you told in the previous cluster. Very nice. Draupadi's solution to a potential Durga. I think I will carry this. It is still reverberating in my mind. Very, very strong. I'm going to now focus, with your permission, on this cluster, which is largely online and tech. As we all know, the rise of e-commerce is quite visible and perceivable, and it's all there. What is the impact of development of e-commerce on the logistics of product distribution, according to your experience?
Impact of e-commerce and logistics, sir?
Impact of e-commerce on the logistics of distribution.
I think what e-commerce has done is it has given a very beautiful shortcut to traditional distribution. In some cases, it is expensive, but by and large, and we've seen that, all of us have seen that even in COVID, that we've now got used to just ordering on the phone or ordering on the laptop and just getting whatever. So the logistics part, the impact would be two ways. One is, I think, because of the pressure on cost, because there are e-commerce orders for 500 rupees. The logistics cost of going up and down is 250 rupees. So what money will you make? So there is a lot of pressure on companies to actually get that right, which is your cost and your efficiency, warehousing, a lot of automation, industrial IoT, all of that has helped. I don't know if any of you have seen pictures. I've seen pictures, and I think I've seen a video also. I think it's in the public domain of how Amazon warehouses work. Only robotics and drones. There are no people there. I mean, there are a few people who are operating the robos and the drones. So that's one. And reverse logistics is something that really wasn't there. So that is a completely new thing. You know, the returns, people say, oh, this is not my size, or I don't like it, or whatever. So the reverse logistics is a very big thing. Yeah, I think those are the two that I can think of.
Right. Thank you. The role of AI, I mean, that's what we talk about. And what is the role of AI and other new age technologies in product innovation? That is the next question.
The honest answer is we don't use any AI, so I have no idea what the role is. AI, ML, we use it in some areas. We use it in our e-commerce sites, in our brand e-commerce sites. We use it in analytics, like we do run a lot of AI through our data that comes from sales or retail apps. But product innovation is not something that we've used. We did actually, I do recall now that once there was somebody who was in that team who came and was showing me that, you know what, you don't need a designer at all. And if you run this AI, it'll tell you what is the most likely to sell design. I don't know how it'll account for product innovation.
Right. Thank you. Thank you very much on that. Moving from there, the online sales experience, how can we make it more effective compared to the offline sales experience?
This is an interesting question, and I would actually argue that the reverse question is equally interesting and important. I have noticed, and not just I think this is something that people have understood, is that this 24/7 being on the mobile has actually rewired our brains. So because you search in a particular way online, and even features like, if you like this, you will also like this, you know, standard, or how the features kind of blow up if you, or, you know, you show a 3D view of what it can do, or especially in the case of smartwatches, what the app will look like, etc. I find people in offline stores actually asking for that kind of explanation or that kind of experience. It's like, sometimes I'm sure it has happened to a lot of people. We are so used to zooming and expanding. You take something which is paper and you're trying to expand, saying, how? It doesn't work like that. So online experience has a lot. For example, one of the things we are doing now, and it's a brand new innovation, which somebody showed me a demo like 2 days back. Because people are so used to scanning QR codes and seeing stuff, we are now actually thinking of putting QR codes in an offline store, in a physical store. And now also because of COVID, you don't want the sales staff to come very close. You open your mobile, you scan the QR code. It's like scanning a QR code menu. You will see all the details of the product. Nobody needs to explain to you. If you want, there are people. If you don't want, this is there. And that's exactly what I was saying. It's a feature that people get comfortable, and then they use it in the reverse is also true. Online experience has some limitations. You can't feel, you can't touch, you can't smell, you can't, you know, the sensations other than a sight are blocked off, and things like size. So there are a lot of things like virtual try-on, magic mirror, which is more suitable for apparel. We also have virtual try-on for all our brands. So, you know, you scan, you put your this thing, and it'll kind of give you a sense of what it would look like on your wrist, though the product is not with you. We also do things like video selling, a lot of chat, I think both bots as well as people, a lot of chat enablement on websites. Yeah, a lot of interesting things. Actually, that the intersection space is very fertile. What can you learn? How can you make the online experience more the physical experience? And how can you make the physical experience more digitally enabled or more exciting? You know, people talk about AR, VR in the stores. And but I mean, I find that a little mind-boggling that if you have the watch, why would you now put on a headset and look at a watch? But for entertainment, I think a lot of young people are excited about the whole experience. So yeah.
Great. I think that's a very interesting way of arguing both the sides. One moment I find that we are very close to explaining the ways and means in which you actually sell your product online. And the other moment you said offline is also made very, very interesting. And there are certain limitations which will be covered only by offline. So pretty interesting. We have the last question in this cluster, and that is, I'm sure a part of it is already addressed, but you can expand on this. Is there any link between product innovations and shrinking attention spans?
Oh, yeah, it is very much. Shrinking attention span is the biggest challenge. If we can solve for that, we can solve for everything. Yeah, I think, and we see that in product innovation, we see that in marketing communication. There was a time when people would see 30-second, 60-second ads on the television. Today, people are seeing ads on Google, on YouTube, and on social media, Facebook, Instagram. If you've not told your story, and certainly if you haven't told what your brand is, who you are, in the first 6 seconds, they're going to skip it. So that's how we all behave, right? You better tell me now, I don't have the time. So yeah, shortening attention spans actually puts huge pressure on innovation. If it is what is called in Hindi, 19 piece, like kind of there, like a marginal improvement, it's not going to cut it anymore. Consumers are very demanding, brutal even.
So the lesson there is better tell your story in the first 6 seconds. Otherwise, the consumer is not there. The shrinking attention spans are a major challenge for us. Ma'am, one more thing. In this new era of agility, what are your views on the product-centric models? Does innovation suffer when faced with the challenge of sustainability in today's world?
Yeah. Sustainability was something that I talked about right in the beginning, and it is a big challenge, and it is, it seemed far away, but it is actually quite close. And we're doing a lot of work on sustainable materials. In fact, already a very large part of the brass and steel that we use is actually recycled. We are also using recycled plastic. So, it's the standard reuse, recycle, all of those. Also things like movements, batteries. So if you have, for example, a battery that lasts 5 years vis-a-vis a battery that lasts 2 years, you will put one less battery in the massive landfills if you do. That innovation is going to cost you money. And sorry, if you can pass it on to the consumer, yes, otherwise as a corporate, you may have to absorb. So sustainability is a huge field. There's sustainability in product, there's sustainability in process. In fact, process is something that we, for a lot of us, sustainability is about switching off the lights. We should do it when you're leaving the room, and if millions of us are doing it, it will make a difference. But really, where the planet is getting damaged is huge amount of energy consumption, factory effluents, and massive scale, and fossil fuels. So it's a very big problem. I'm not attempting to say that, but I think consciousness is helping, and all of us are trying to do our little bit in limiting the damage.
Great. Thank you. Thank you very much for your views on sustainability. Sustainability is not just about switching off the lights, which is most popular and well known to all of us, but it is being conscious about the energy consumption, the factory fossils, and the effluents. All these things we have to be conscious of. And I'm sure that consciousness is actually stepping up. It's actually more rising. Thank you very much for answering this online and tech cluster. Now I hand it over to Professor Prasad for the next cluster.
I think there are 2 points which I'll connect it up to this cluster and from the previous section. And one is this AI for how can artificial intelligence be used in watches? And this is also I'm flagging with because this can well be a student project. What exactly we can, because you have to give a proposal or an idea which companies like Titan will look at seriously. If that is not being done, about in terms of what the consumer is doing, and then how you can do product innovation, looking at what the consumer is doing, particularly in those kind of watches. So there is an entrepreneurial somebody who can develop, do some work, and then get into various shapes. So this is something that institutions can do. So that's one takeaway which I take. The other is this first 6 seconds. And I think that we get back to education, that, if you're reading a page, if you're not getting interested, and particularly working executives who are students, they don't get interested in the first 6 seconds or whatever those seconds are, I think you lose them, because then they'll say, okay, I'll do it tomorrow or before the exam, or, so the entire attention and the motivation shifts. So in this context, the question which, that comes up with respect to education, which I'd like to take your views, you're also on the IIM Kozhikode board. What specific suggestions would you have for universities to build up this culture of innovation in their graduates, MBAs, engineers, and others?
It's a complex question. And I think there are several disciplines, several streams that need to come together. There is no course in life called innovation, right? Innovation comes at the intersection of many streams. I myself, I feel that innovation, especially in something like product or marketing, comes from a confluence of the following. Consumer behavior, which is actually psychology, sociology, anthropology, human form factor. Like now we're doing hearables, right? What is the form factor? What is the shape of the ear? How does it really work? Things like that. Economics, business, accounting also. I mean, you look at pricing and where you make your gross contribution, how do you make money? Very, very big. And technology, understanding of, so, there will always be some tech guy who understands that particular field more than anybody else. And I'll give the example of plating. We have a PhD in plating in our company. But the rest of us don't. We understand at a basic level what is required and how it needs to work. So there is science, there is, subjects like psychology, sociology, anthropology, and there's economics, business. Somebody wants to do real innovation, you'll have to think of all of this. Or one person can do it. So you get in groups and teams that they are complementing each other. And we see that, the first slide the second slide that I showed, where it had the hexagon. So different people are bringing in so the designers are bringing in something, the manufacturing guys are bringing in something, the marketing guys are bringing in something. It's everybody put together that makes sense.
Yes, I think, there's something for us there, and that is the group and teamwork, and trying to see how you can also build the cohorts there when they do their work, and particularly when you're getting them to do innovation or doing those entrepreneurship projects that they do, to work together and work in teams. The second question is, about when you look at MBAs and today's workplace, and the difference of what has evolved over the years, what kind of skill set should they prepare for, in your view, what you've been seeing around?
I will say something which may be very contrary to what popular opinion is or what many experts may say. So a lot of people are like, every person needs to learn coding and it's all about AI and ML. I feel in a world where actually, what is AI? What is ML? It's just that the computer itself learns on itself. You don't have to write anything. I feel in this world, actually, some of the classical disciplines of appreciation of philosophy, art, music, history, human endeavor, these are becoming more important. So it's a very contrary view to what, people say, everybody's doing tech, and everybody's doing data, and everybody's doing analytics. And I'm like, yeah, but you know what? Once that's the thing. Earlier, there were some people who were Excel gurus and they would do it. Today, that's it. You don't need an Excel guru. The data will spew it out. How are you going to apply your mind to figure out what does it mean? What does it mean? What do I do with it? What is the insight? And particularly in an attention deficit world, in a world which is moving at breakneck speed, in a world which is seeking, and the more it is doing it, actually, the more it is seeking meaning. So that's my very personal opinion, is that I'll give you an example. I had, our first MD, Mr. Xerxes Desai, was educated in Oxford, and he graduated in something called PPE, which is Politics, Philosophy, and Economics. This was in the 50s or something, 60s maybe. 50s maybe. But I think about how he's built Titan, the Titan of aesthetic, the aesthetic sensibility, the design, the everything. And it, even the way we think, the way we work together, it comes from that holistic and wholesome, personality.
Good insights. I think, we went through the same kind of thinking when you were trying to figure out, what to include in this online MBA, particularly in the beginning. And we also continue to review courses with, which include, because these things now keep appearing in the curriculum of all institutions. And there is always, that the market sense of, this needs to be there in the, in the curriculum. And personally, I go with the view that you have taken, that the job of a leader or a manager is to use these as tools. And if they do not understand how to use these as tools, may not be coding, but I must know where I should use AI in my business first. If I've got $1 million, or, for a smaller organization, maybe it's about some lakhs. Now, what do I do with that money and where do I need to bring it in? So I think that's the first thing and that very well resonates with what you're saying, that the holistic approach to where, what, when, the whole thing in the design of what you want to make. If that is clear, then the leader can always get somebody else to do it. Not that not knowing that is knowing that is not important, but when you look at what students need to know, I think they need to know what you said more importantly, more purposefully than knowing coding, which can kind of crack that. Of course, that's a highly valued skill in some other areas, but for managers or leaders, perhaps I think what you said makes better sense. There's a resonance in that. Thanks a lot for that. So that brings me to the end of the second cluster. Back to Professor Sudhakar.
Yeah, thank you. Thank you very much. A lot of reflections and connects that you have provided, ma'am. I have only 2 questions in this, and then we are going to close this. We have taken more time than we have asked for. So the last 2 questions are the following. This is about Titan. There is one out of the syllabus question again, but I'll come to it last, depending on how you're responding. How this evolving digital scenario has impacted the positioning of Titan as a luxury fashion accessory? That is the first question. And what is the product strategy to cope up with smartwatches? You already have smartwatches, but this is the question.
Yeah, so we have smartwatches. We are we have very big plans, ambitious plans, aggressive plans. And it's a very fast-moving category. It's literally exploded in the last 18 months or so. And because of the huge emphasis on health and fitness and all of that which has come up. So smartwatches at one time they used to have just steps and calories, and now they have SpO2. We didn't even know what SpO2 meant about 2 years back. Now everybody wants to know what their SpO2 is, because those are the times, right? So it is a rapidly accelerating field, and we are very much invested in it and taking aggressive steps.
Right. One addendum to this, ma'am, is the future belongs to watches or wearables?
Time will tell. All pun intended. I don't know. I mean, we'll have to wait and watch. Another pun intended. But I don't know. It's hard to say. In 2015, if somebody had said that smartwatches are going to grow at this rate, it would have seemed like, yeah, maybe not. But it has. So it remains to be seen. Like I showed you, we've also extended to things like Wearables, which is really not in the wrist at all. How we came into smartwatches was because watches are on the wrist, smartwatches on the wrist. But now we are getting into the ear. It's not like there was any watch equivalent in the ear, but today we are doing it. So I think it's a very interesting, we are at the cusp of a lot of excitement. And of course you have to plan, but beyond a point, nobody knows how it's going to work out.
Okay, great. The other question is, what do you see as possible innovations in the mass segment as well as premium segment, and where does Titan want to be?
So we have a portfolio of brands. We have Titan, which is mid-premium. We have Sonata, as I said, which is economy. We have Fast Track, which is youth. We have higher price brands like Xylus, which is a Swiss brand. We have Nebula. So, there would be different innovations. Some would be more addressing the mass segment. Some would be addressing the more premium segment. So it depends on the brand. And as I showed in the slides, people think that innovation is happening only at the top, which is not true at all.
Right. That clears a lot of questions actually. But there's one, as I said, one out of the syllabus question again. And in the recent past, Titan ads have come in for a lot of flack. Probably the person who has keyed in this question is referring to the jewelry ad. Would you like to answer that? What kind of measures were taken subsequently? What were the internal discussions, and what is the strategy and preparedness to thwart this kind of trolls and attacks and flags that come in woke advertising as witnessed recently?
So I would not like to address it. Firstly, I don't work in jewelry, and it would be inappropriate of me to answer it on behalf of.
Perfect. I totally get it. Thank you very much, ma'am. I think we have had a very, very nice session of interesting answers, insights, and all the product innovation display that you have shown through your presentation is very, very attractive. And I have a lot of insights to take forward, and we'll prepare a summary and share it on our website as well. We would like to share one copy of that summary as well, along with the video, the recording of this video. I must, on behalf of ICFAI Group, thank you.
Professor Sudhakar.
Yes.
Professor Sudhakar, can I ask a small question to Madam?
May I know who is online?
I am Professor Bhavna Rana.
Yeah, please go ahead very quickly.
Madam, if you compare your offline sales and online sales, where do you get majority of the revenues, percentage-wise also?
Right now, it is obviously offline, on ground. We call it on ground, not offline. On ground and online.
I mean, approximate what percentage?
80% on ground, 20% online.
Thank you.
Amazing. Thank you very much, ma'am. So from all of us here and on behalf of the entire group, we thank you for agreeing to speak in our webinar and added a lot of value. We would like to keep in touch with you and thank you. We wish you all the best in your journey, both at Titan and in future.
Thank you, Suparna.
Yeah, thank you. Ladies and gentlemen, we wish you a wonderful session again next week, same time, Friday, 6:30 p.m. We will be back with another interesting and distinguished guest. Till then, do take care. The pandemic is not over, and we will have to win this war against pandemic by taking a lot of precautions. Thank you all and have a good evening.